Good day to you all. My name is Thabo Makweya, and I shall be sharing a brief insight into a few of my favorite novels over the past 2 or so years. From my reading experiences, I have learned that it is often the novels with characters I can closely relate to that end up being the novels I cherish so dearly. Through meticulous, thought-provoking writing and apprehension from the authors of these novels, respectively, have managed to create captivating characters that had really caught my attention due to their individualistic personalities and response to various situations or environments. In each case, to varying degrees, these quirky yet lovable characters have inspired me and given me new perspectives that I now apply in real life. In this slide, I have included a photo that demonstrates the 6 pillars of characters that we see in most novels that are accessible to us today. First up, The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This is a novel that has quite possibly had the greatest impact on my life of all the novels I named today. This novel, which has an accompanying motion picture, which I've been very privileged to have seen, takes us on a journey that discusses racism, police brutality, community, and poverty and crime, using the protagonist, Star Carter. Star Carter was one of the main protagonists in this novel, a female African American that has to deal with unenviable situations, such as losing a loved one to an altercation with a police officer. Star has to take this heartbreaking tragedy and transform it into a platform to fight for justice. Where it could be so easy to feel down and out of sorts, he has to rise above the odds and trigger a movement of fairness in a not so fair America. For me, it was very easy to read and something I was attracted to from the moment it had been prescribed. It's due to the fact that it touches on black cultural movements, namely the Black Lives Matter campaign. As a black man myself, the story resonated on a very personal level. Even though the novel used an Americanized vehicle, the message was still felt deeply and unequivocally. I have been in situations of tension and friction and discriminated against because of the color of my skin. Even in a nation where people who, like me, are the majority, I never let those incidents change the way I viewed myself or negatively affect my view on my race. But for many, this is not the case. The novel touches on being proud of being who you are, while being aware of society and being aware that society will actively seek to corrupt this truth. In Star, I found a character that is much stronger than I could have been if placed in her shoes. Sorry. And for this, she has enabled me to feel comfortable in my skin, regardless of any opposition. This is a message I'll continue to echo to all people I shall come across in reality. Lastly is a novel titled The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. For reasons very different to those mentioned previously, I have gravitated to a character named Santiago, the protagonist in this novel. Santiago is not a polarizing figure. He does not evoke much admiration from or try to get the reader's attention in many flashy ways by any means. However, due to his subtlety, I found him just as interesting as characters I've mentioned before. What Santiago does have, however, is true tenacity and heart. Santiago is a boy similar to myself in age, and I feel this just added to my admiration for him. In the slide, I have listed a few key things to note about Santiago, namely his gender, his strengths, which I would say are patience, tenacity. I say he's a dreamer and a seeker, and also a few of his flaws, which I would say is a bit of naivete, as well as obstacles he needs to overcome throughout this entire journey, which I'd say was a long and treacherous journey. And also, lastly, what he taught me, and that was to have patience and guile when going and pursuing even the most of improbable things. And we have reached the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that I've inspired you to perhaps check out the novels that I have mentioned today. And yes, thank you very much for tuning in.